My presets are now live. The Algarve preset pack, 4 amazing presets there for you. Don't forget to use the code YouTube1 for 30% off. Without further ado, back into the video. Hi there guys, Adrian here from IAmJadoreTV, and I just wanted to make this video just to show you guys that the Canon EOS RP definitely does have good dynamic range. I don't know what all the reports were. I don't know if this is the first video you've come across. I use the Canon EOS RP for all of my shoots, and I use very budget gear for my shoots and video, etc. So definitely take a look through my page if you haven't before, and my Instagram page that is, and my YouTube, just to show you that the RP definitely a professional camera. A lot of people have been saying it's not a professional camera, and this, that, and the third, and recommending other cameras. I'm literally a living testament that this can be used as a professional camera and has good dynamic range, as you can see in this photo. Originally, when I took this photo, I didn't like it. There were photos I took with the light sort of hitting the model, and obviously this is sort of backlit, so it's a lot harder for editing in general when the light is coming from behind. I didn't like this picture in camera. When I decided to edit it, because I like the pose of the model, direct, everything's symmetrical. I love symmetry, and I edited this picture, and it was probably one of my most favorite pictures. It's my most liked picture this year on my Instagram as well. So without further ado, let's get into the edit. So yeah, we're gonna do a live editing. Obviously it's not live streamed, but I'm live recording the editing, so let's get into this. So first I'm gonna start with, which I always start with, is the color calibration. So yeah, let's have a go at starting with the red primary. We're gonna just toy with it here. And just for you guys, you can cycle between the before and afters. So let's keep that up just so you can see the before, and you can see what I'm currently doing to the image. So yeah, I know what kind of edit I want to do to this. Obviously I already edited this, but I kind of remember what I did to get it, because it's my usual editing style. So let's bring, because this is only the first part, I go into Photoshop and I do a sort of color balance as well, and color, there's some more color grading later on, so I kind of know what the outcome will be. So then we'll go to green primary, and this is where, as you can see, the greens dramatically change, and I love this slider because it does more than just what the color mixer does. Kind of overpowers that. It's more deep control. So I want this as if it's the leaves are sort of dead leaves, you know, when it kind of goes to autumn time. That's the kind of feel I want to this. And I'm gonna check the blue. And that's kind of giving it a nice tint here. Let's go that way. And let's up these. Definitely want more oomph into that. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Slight changes there, as you can see from the before. Just those slight things can make a slight difference. You'll see in the end result. So next, we'll go to the color mixer. I don't know anybody else's sort of editing process, but I sort of edit sort of backwards, if that makes sense. I don't start with the basic here. I kind of go from the top upwards, and that's usually like my finishing touches, because I'm more color grade, and that's a very good tool to have, to know how to color grade effectively. So what we'll do here, we'll see the reds. I like the reds because I want to keep the skin tones relatively the same. We will just minus the orange, yellows. Let's change. Yes, I love that. Love that sort of look. As you can see, it's drastically sort of changed from the original photo to now, and the skin color has kept the same. That's what we want. So I'll leave the greens, aquas. Let's go to blue, just for the sky. Hopefully that'll come through later on. I know it's kind of blown out, but I didn't want to expose too much for the sky, and then the model would be completely dark because it was a very bright day that day. So yeah, I don't want to change the purples or magentas because it will change the IAmJadoreTV top. Bearing in mind, plug the merch there. Saturation, I'm gonna up the red saturation a bit. A little bit less on the oranges. The same, around about the same for the yellows, because again we're going to edit it into Photoshop as well. The greens, it's not really affecting it that much. A slight change, but it's affecting a different area of the bush. As you can see, if I take this down, you can kind of see it affects a different area. Put it back up. So we'll leave this about there. I'm gonna bring some of this sky back in, and you'll see these effects have later on in the basic section. Put these up. Purples and magentas, we'll put that up just so you can see the writing of the top. Now luminance, just so we can control a bit of the bright areas. And love what that's, if you can see what that's doing just there, and especially it can brings the definition in the model. As you can see, if I bring this down and back up, you can see the effect that it's having on the model as well. So you definitely want to bring that up, not too much. Yellows. Let's bring the green up as well, just a little bit. A bit more actually. And yeah, just on the top area, I want to bring some more tension there. See what I mean that does to the IAmJadoreTV. We want that definitely prominent. Show off the merch a bit. And yeah, we're done with that, I think. So let's go to basic, and I'm gonna use my favorite profile, landscape. I love landscape because most of my shots are outdoors, beaches, or just nature in general, so it gives that nice punch to the whole sort of vibe. Now temperature, I want to bring, As you can see, this is why I sort of tweaked the luminance and saturation of them, just because the temperature can make a big difference to the colors. So that's the reasoning for that. And obviously, as I have a style now, so one thing as a photographer, if you do know your style, it takes a while to get there. I mean, I've only really found my style the last, I'd say, couple of years, maybe 2 years maybe. So I kind of know when I shoot already how the edit's going to go. So that's a big sort of help, knowing how you're going to edit your pictures before you've even taken them. So I like tint. I'll bring that down to here. Now let's get into the actual editing part now. So let's get to, I'll bring the exposure down a bit because I want a bit more detail in the back. I'll keep that just there. As you can see, it kind of brings more back into the area. Don't want it to be too overpowering. Contrast. A nice trick as well, if you lower the contrast, you can it kind of raises the shadows without raising the shadows, if that makes sense. So you kind of bring back exposure to the shadow areas without diminishing the quality. So it all comes into play. Even though there is a shadow slider, it's not as harsh. So if I bring this back, as you can see how dark it is, as soon as I bring this back down, you can see more of the model. So that's it's just a little neat trick, just in case you don't want to make your too grainy, or if you overdo it. That's another trick you can do. So I'm gonna bring this down to about there. Highlights I want to bring down as well. Just so we can see more of the surroundings. And just so you guys know, even though it does say at the top here that the lens I use was a 75-300, it definitely wasn't. And if it was a 75-300, it can't be at 35mm. Like, do you know what I mean? It's just the third-party lens that I use. It doesn't sort of register properly on the Adobe system, so maybe that's an update they're gonna have later on. But yeah, it was definitely a 35mm Yongnuo lens that I use. It's all the description below. Check that out. Very cheap budget lens. I think it's about £70. I'm not sure what that is in dollars, but it's a very, very cheap lens. And you can see the quality that it's given is ridiculous for the price. But back into this, I'll leave the shadows. The whites, we want just a smoother fall off, so we'll bring the whites down, not too much, about there. I'm going to leave texture and clarity, dehaze. I do like the dehaze tool, I must say. It's less harsh. It gives sort of the same-ish effect as contrast, just less harsh, and affects a different area of the photo. So as we've reduced the contrast, we can add a little bit of punch with the dehaze tool. So if I bring this back, you can kind of see it adds just a little bit. And I'm happy with this. So as you can see, the before and after. That's before we go into Photoshop, but yeah, just to show you guys the before and after. And this, yeah, the dynamic range to me is brilliant. Although I did forget one thing that I would want to do, that is radial filter, just here, just to bring it up a bit. We want to stretch this out. Almost forgot the radial filter, silly me. And you can play with the feather, just depending on how you like it. We'll see how this goes right now. And this is the bit where we're gonna raise the shadows here. So we can raise part of the shadow, raise exposure. Let's see with the feather. just so it doesn't look quite obvious when you post the pictures that there's like, sometimes people overdo it and there's like a ring around the subject. It's like, it's kind of obvious, but yeah, we don't want it too much. Just there, we can raise. I mean, look how much I've raised the shadows. Plus 43, no grain whatsoever. Looks like a perfectly normal image, perfectly exposed image, and we have we've drastically, and plus the exposure and the shadows, and it's still clean, very, very, very clean. So I'm happy. I'll extend this a bit, maybe bring this in a bit tighter, feather this out a bit more, and take a look at that. From the original, look how dark. You can just about see the model, and I mean, obviously because of the white top, but you can barely see any detail, and then that is exactly the how good the dynamic range is in a so-called not professional camera. I mean, this is the RP. Is probably, I've seen the RP go brand new for under $1,000. So I've seen about $999 in shops. So you can imagine what second hand you can get that with. And I mean, just look at the results from a non-professional under $1,000 full-frame mirrorless camera with a 35mm lens, £70 third-party lens can produce quality like this. And if that doesn't scream a bargain to you, then I don't know what will. I don't think there's any better budget mirrorless camera better than this right now, in my personal opinion. And look what kind of shadows I've just pulled back. This is not L series, this isn't RF glass, this is a £70 very budget lens. Again, link is in the description if you want to check it out for yourself. This is a very, very budget lens. I mean, the lens sounds like Robocop when it's focusing, but this is the results that you can get on a budget. If you don't have a lot of money, you don't even need it. I mean, I'm a professional photographer for 10 years. I don't own any L series glass myself, and these are the only. I use two lenses, a 85mm and a 35mm. And those are the only two lenses that you'll see on my page, other than lenses that I've rented for YouTube purposes on some of my trips, just to review it for you guys. But I don't own any of those lenses myself, because these do the jobs. I'd rather this do the job for £70 and my 85mm is about £150, rather than spend it on £2,000 lens that can realistically do the same thing. Yeah, it might have better clarity zoomed in, but who can zoom in on Instagram anyway? And who's really going to zoom into the corners of your pictures? It's just unrealistic. It's just selling points for companies to take your money. but that by all means, it doesn't mean not to buy L series glass. Of course you can, but this is just the perfect example of the dynamic range in the Canon EOS RP. Now, yeah, check this out on my Instagram. This picture is up on my Instagram, so definitely check that out. I have presets available. Definitely don't forget to check my presets out. That's also in the description below. And yeah, my Portugal vlog is coming, so definitely stay tuned for that. I explored the Benagil caves, amazing caves. And guys, I'm gonna catch you in the next one.